Yo guys, what's up? अभी लाइव में जरा चेक कर लेता हूँ बस. Yep, looks like we're live. And it looks like आवाज भी सही आ रहा है मेरा. What's up, man? हाँ, FI. So why am I not? एक सेकंड मेरा रख लेता हूँ. हाँ, better. Okay. हेलो अर्ली ओपी टाइम पे ओपी बोल सकते हो तुम लोग. आई डोंट थिंक अर्ली ओपी इज राइट फॉर दिस. मैं एक काम कर लेता हूँ, मैं साहिल को पूछ लेता हूँ if साहिल काले वांट्स टू जॉइन, बिकॉज स्ट्रीम अगर आई डोंट नो अगर 100 ऐसे कि 100% प्राइवेट करूंगा मैं, बट बाद में व्हेन इफ इट गोज प्राइवेट आई डोंट वांट पीपल टू ईट माय हेड कि क्यों प्राइवेट किया भाई ये वो. लाइक मैं अभी बता के कर रहा हूँ इसलिए. सो मैं जरा साहिल को मैसेज कर लेता हूँ कि आ रहा है क्या स्ट्रीम पे. साहिल. So all three of us, Sahil, me, Samay, we're all big fans of Norm Macdonald, and a lot of other comics in general as well. In case of Norm specifically, मैं से stand-up का तो fan था ही, but he's not my favorite stand-up comedian. Like for pure stand-up, I like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock more. But just in terms of his interviews, his show, that video podcast he used to do, the Norm Macdonald show, his interview appearances on Conan, even on Letterman. So ये सब पे those were what made me his fan. And then his roast, of course he was there for Bob Saget's roast. तो हाँ, अभी तो मैं तो चैट पढ़ रहा था, मैंने सुना बहुत लोग रिकॉर्ड करने वाले, तो फिर शायद से प्राइवेट ना करूँ या काटो, कुछ पता नहीं, देखता हूँ. बट या ऑल्सो लाइक यहाँ पे तो माई गोल फॉर डूइंग दिस इज हाय अक्षर, थैंक्स मैन. माई गोल फॉर डूइंग दिस इज आई वॉन्ट पीपल टू सी हिज जोक्स. एंड इंडिया में ना दिस इज वॉट आई फील. ठीक है, there are like Norm Macdonald was a comic who did not care about any like he didn't care to get cancelled. You couldn't cancel him. India में बहुत अच्छे comics है, but I still feel कि there are certain things people won't joke about, and I don't even mean like religious stuff. ठीक है, that gets into the right. Even from a left point of view ना, like Norm Macdonald used to make jokes about the right and the left abroad. ऐसा नहीं था कि इंडिया में left, lot of comics are scared to like overly make jokes about the left also because then you'll get cancelled. If you make jokes about the right, you'll get lynched, and you make jokes about the left, you'll get cancelled. So, वो US, like this guy was fearless. और उसी reason से like in 1990 Saturday Night Live he was the weekend anchor update. वो जो अभी Colin Jost और Michael Che करते हैं ना, where every week he used to like basically read the news and make jokes out of current topics. So that's where most people got to know him, and he was legendary at it. So I'm going to just play some of his jokes, and you'll see why आज के ज़माने में इंडिया तो छोड़ो, अब्रॉड भी बहुत गिन के ऐसे टाइप के जोक्स मार पाएंगे लोग. And again, like these are not my words, but at the same time I think jokes are jokes, so don't cancel me. या करता है नॉर्मली मैं स्ट्रीम पे ये सब अवॉइड करता हूँ, तुम लोगों को पता है, बट like I was in this situation, I was like fuck it man, Norm Macdonald यार. And I did this on my stream yesterday for a brief while I had it playing, but wasn't able to like fully show some of it. So ये stream मैंने सिर्फ इसी reason से किया. And I'm not saying कि I don't know what Samay's stream is in the evening. I know he's going to, I think like Upmanu is the biggest Norm Macdonald fan. Like I'm not anywhere close to that. So I don't know what they'll probably have a discussion. I would be surprised if some of the jokes that I'm going to show here make it to that stream. Simply you'll see why, but yeah, मेरा गोल है कि जितने लोग देख सके ये कॉमेडी they should watch it. In India a lot of guys don't know who he is. You should, it's so funny. It's not like it's just watch this. ठीक है, and मैं desktop audio बढ़ाता हूँ and I will play.
Dance like no one is watching, sing like no one is listening, love like you've never been hurt, and fuck like a goddamn retard. Some gold-plated chains would make a nice retirement gift for a very, very good slave. College freshman Scott Damerow, Larry, set a new world record by using his head to bust 142 eggs, and he now officially holds a place in the Guinness Book of fucking retards. I think the reason I most look forward to China ruling the earth is that all of their last names sound like slang for cock.
वो जो दूसरा कॉमिक था ना गिलबर्ट गॉटफ्रीड वो भी क्रेजी है. इवन ही डजंट गिव अ फक. ही मेड अ जोक. आई थिंक जापान में तभी सुनामी आया था और समथिंग लाइक दैट. And he made a joke that got him like उसका पूरा brand work निकल गया वो joke से. The joke on Twitter was something like कि now every house in Japan has a sea facing view or something like that. And he उसकी the other guy Gilbert Gottfried वो भी बहुत crazy है.
Sometimes I will meet a lady at a bar, got the same disease as I do, and I'll fuck her. He says to me, there's one way to wake her up, but it's a little unconventional. You go in there and you have oral sex with her. I said, by God. So I go in there, I'm in there about 5 minutes, and I come out. I said, Doc, she's choking. Why do dogs always race to the door when the doorbell rings? It's almost never for them. Like, I'm no expert, but I think probably most rapists are hypocrites. You have a boy. I know you have a boy. I know.
A boy and a girl, yeah.
Yeah, and but I know you have a boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A new report from the CDC states that only 1/3 of Americans use condoms, while 2/3 of Americans are still pretty cool. Get out! There is no problem big enough that a huge black cock cannot fix. Well, I guess the biggest thing that nobody knows about me is I'm a deeply closeted gay man.
What?
Orange is the new black, but not in my apartment building. Kevin is the new black.
Oh man. Oh man. Kevin who? No, ऐसा नहीं. It's just some guy called Kevin. It's a...
Hey, this occurred to me today. ID, which I had to show it again. There's a strange abbreviation when you think about it. I is short for I. And then D is short for dentification. Hey, for the 9th consecutive year, Nick, JetBlue Airlines ranked first for satisfaction among all North American airlines. But you know what ranked least in satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy. Hey, how about this? The Dalai Lama said that killing in the name of religion is unthinkable. Hey, thanks, Dalai Lama. I'm sure everybody will fucking listen to you. No one listens to the Dalai Lama.
No one.
That just because I come in here, I order a Polish sausage, why would you jump to the fact that I'm Polish?
Right.
And the guy says to me, well, first of all, it's a hardware store. A new study found that men with beards are more attractive than men without beards. More great work from the University of Bob Seger. I don't care if a guy's a guy, a girl, a guy, girl. I couldn't care less. I love them all.
What do you make of...
I'll have sex with any of them.
Time.
Doesn't matter. So I say, hey, you see that pig, that cow, you know, horse? That remind you of any of your relatives? She says, yeah, my in-laws. I said, you dirty dog. Oh, wow! In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between the Mavericks and the Thunder, Magic Johnson said that Dirk Nowitzki is playing like he has 3 legs, which is a nice way of saying he's playing like a black guy.
There's a real stream of consciousness thing happening here, Norm.
Yeah, it's called conversation. Who was the better man?
Okay.
Dr. Martin Luther King? Mm-hmm. Stalin. What do you call a gay boxer?
Huh?
What do you call a gay boxer?
No, Macdonald.
No.
Oh man.
Here, it's time to do jokes. This is where we put in a big thing. Jokes.
Yeah.
So here, you can
Does
start.
it flash? Does it have
You
exclamation
can start.
mark?
Just do the joke right into that camera.
And who wrote these? You got me just doing jokes.
Just read a joke.
Unsolicited. Is this from that joke book, that 1942?
No, this is a real joke.
Two businessmen bought the Milwaukee Bucks for $550 million. They are very excited with their purchase, as this is the only legal way to own black people. Now that is here, and I read that.
Well, you're not there. You know how businessmen are racist?
They are.
Yes, it's them being racist.
They
not
are.
You.
The two businessmen that bought the Milwaukee Bucks for $550 million are racist, according
they're
to this.
fine, man. Some gold-plated chains would make a nice retirement gift for a very, very good slave. Well,
Are you serious?
Well, this was written.
Are you serious?
This was written years ago.
Did you just write that?
I didn't write it.
Did you just say that?
No, I read it. Yes.
You read that?
There was no old. This Lindsay Lohan can't swim a stroke, but she sure knows every dive in town.
That one I liked. That was my favorite. I'm keeping this.
That is a favorite? Did you write this?
I didn't write that one. No.
Sure, junkyard dogs are mean, but the meanest dogs are generally found guarding concentration camps. And it says here, there's a note. Early versions of the Jim Croce's 1973 smash hit Big Bad Leroy Brown. You remember that song?
Tell people what.
No, do you know what you just said?
It
Do you have
included.
any idea what you just read?
This says it
No, did you have any idea what you just read?
that
It was an
junkyard dogs.
anti-Semitic joke about the concentration camp.
No.
Oh,
Not
what do you mean?
anti-Semitic at all.
No, it's Semitic?
No.
Well, you know, I know what the problem
They
is.
use
'cause
Did you write it?
ऊपर देख रहा हूँ because मैं टीवी पे देख रहा हूँ. So my camera is actually below. So I am watching, the YouTube screen is थोड़ा above. That's why I'm looking
I didn't
at.
write that.
Who wrote it?
They
you-
use the meanest
wrote
dogs.
I don't know who wrote it.
We could nip March Madness in the bud if we watch for the warning signs of brooding antisocial February fever.
Who is writing this? You're doing this. This is your line
Saturday.
right on the hood. Mighty.
Well,
Flight of stairs. Clothes, Larry, make me look slimmer, but they.
Mighty.
well,
You know, my clothes, Larry, make me look slimmer, but they did not fool that flight of stairs that collapsed under my astonishing new girth.
Who writes these?
I'm
No,
fat now.
where did they come from?
A man in Chipata allowed a hyena to eat his penis after being told by a witch doctor that would help him become rich. Is it me, or does it sound like that hyena and witch doctor were in cahoots?
I think maybe they were in cahoots.
Gee, who writes these?
Huh?
We should have this person locked up and looked at, or at least looked at. A 28-year-old med student is auctioning off her virginity online. For $300,000, you can have the worst sex of your life. That's good.
That ain't
That's
bad.
good.
That ain't
Who
bad.
writes these?
Oh, well. How about this one?
I know who writes them. You know who writes them? Prison, men in prison.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let's get back to Tom.
You wrote all these, Norm, or you sit up and write all these, or? Music is the universal language, but one day soon it will be replaced by Chinese.
Yeah.
that's right.
Hey, we got some jokes.
All right,
If that's all right.
But you know, are these street jokes?
No.
So you wrote
they're
them?
Not, they're not. Someone wrote them.
Some of them wrote that you know.
Yeah, some people in this room.
Okay, cool.
Some people in this
Thank
room.
you.
I don't want to say who because in case the joke doesn't work.
Okay, all right. Boy, was it hot outside today. I went out to buy a California Pizza Kitchen signature pepperoni frozen flatbread, and by the time I got home, it was perfectly cooked and entirely eaten. 100% true.
Oh, you ate it. See, I love
Wait,
how he
stop.
laughs. I love how he laughs. It's just kind of weird, right? Some of them are odd. I'm not going to lie to you.
Joke?
Well, some of them.
Las Vegas is now home.
Like an observational joke?
अब से आ रहा है वो देख.
Las Vegas is now home to a 550-foot tall Ferris wheel. Also drawing thousands to Las Vegas, whores. That's you. That's your voice all the way right there. It's the old, the Norm Macdonald lean in, whores.
No. All right, listen, man. A lot of people talk about masturbating to the Sears catalog when they were younger, you know?
Yes, I've looked through that.
You know, because now In old outhouses, they would use the Sears catalog. They used his lasso to apprehend a gunman. At least this is according to police.
Choosing, which means Pakistan's tour. They're stoned.
ये सुनो
Where do you get these jokes?
ये वाला जोक सुनो ये मेरे को याद ही आया जो अगला वाला है ना ये जोक याद है मुझे सुनो एक बार ये
Yeah.
So bad.
Where do you get these jokes?
Some guy.
Pakistani father stoned his daughter to death for marrying a man of her own choosing, which means Pakistan's tourism board is going to have to find a new slogan to replace "Come to Pakistan." 3 whole days without anyone being brutally stoned to death by her own father.
You like that one?
These are Norm Macdonald.
No, here, this is an actual joke.
That's what I was laughing at.
Mark, this is an actual joke. This is an actual
These are
joke.
Norm jokes.
This is an actual joke. The only things certain in life are death, taxes, and getting caught whacking off in a Target dressing room.
Are these your tips?
I've learned that the hard way. You want to read a joke?
Yeah, man. Who wrote these jokes?
We can't say.
I'd like to do something about a film or something. Oh, good.
How do you know that fast? How do you know that fast?
Glanced and saw.
I'm a good cheater. Fast and Furious 6 opens next week. The cast is getting a little older. It's less fast and furious and more like brisk and peeved.
Remember the good old days back when MILF stood for mentally ill ladies I'd like to fuck? Right.
Do you have a writing snap?
कुछ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं
Oh, yeah.
You do?
We have Steve O'Donnell.
Steve, these are really good.
To stop a pit bull attacking her daughter, a Texas man bit the dog. Well, that's an interesting story. A man bites a dog. It's not what I would call news.
Man bites dog?
Yeah.
Used to be dog bites man, right?
Yeah.
Is that the joke?
Yeah.
I don't get this. I don't get it. Really. Do you write these for real? These come from the fucking YouTube. Are these from the audience? They write them? Did you read them? Did you write them or the audience?
Sure.
No. Neil Patrick Harris posed nude for the cover of Rolling Stone, except for a hat hanging off his wiener. And this morning, Adam Egat. Oh, is that your name? Fucking change it.
Oh man. कौन सा लगाओ हाँ ये अच्छा है ये वाला अच्छा है
It'll happen, you know. Meanwhile, at the University of Nebraska, computer scientists have developed a version of the internet that is up to 100 times faster than the current system. According to analysts, those using the new system to log on to America Online will now be disconnected in 3/1000th of a second. You ever get on the computer? Do you know anything about them? Well, this coming Monday is Oscar night, and 3 films, The English Patient, Secrets and Lies, and Shine, are locked in a tight race in the category Best Picture There's Not a Chance in Hell I Will Ever See. No interest at all in seeing those. In music news, Dr. Jack Kevorkian has performed and recorded a 1-hour CD of his own.
Oh man. हाँ चलो ये वाला लगा सकते हैं ये बहुत hard. This is
130.
This I've seen this ये
130.
Anyways तुम देख लो
130 years after the Civil War, the state of Mississippi has finally voted to abolish slavery. Representatives say they would have liked to have done it sooner, but they were delayed due to some awfully big cotton crops. They had some kind of big cotton thing. All right. In Colorado this week, Bob Dole warned that if Pat Buchanan is the Republican nominee, the party might lose both the presidency and control of Congress. In response, Buchanan warned that if anyone other than himself becomes president, blacks will retain the right to vote.
Last night, the epic disaster film Twister opened to big box office and some controversy. The Reverend Jesse Jackson has called for a boycott of the movie, claiming that not enough black people in the film are killed by tornadoes. Meanwhile, Furman, who was expected to face disciplinary action by the LAPD, may get off lightly. Under the terms of a controversial plea bargain, the charges against him have been reduced to, quote, 1 count of using the word darky. In the wake of the verdict, angry Menendez defense attorney Leslie Abramson said the jury simply chose not to believe the brothers' excuse that they had been sexually abused by their father, and says she knows why. Quote, it's because my clients are black.
And now on screen.
President Clinton was in Austin, Texas last Monday, the day of the Million Man March. The president said in a speech, I'm here to speak to you today because right now in Washington, D.C., there's like 1 million black guys. In Nashua, New Hampshire this week, a high school student, Chris Connolly, while attempting to dunk a basketball, lost his balance, crashed down on the rim, and shattered 2 front teeth. Gee, I wonder if by some crazy chance Chris is white. This week, as America marked the 50th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's entry into Major League Baseball, there was a sobering reminder that racial prejudice in sports is not yet a thing of the past. In a shocking move, today, all but one of the 125 playing members of the Professional Golf Association has signed a petition to ban African-American golfers from the tour.
Tiger Woods joke, okay? This is...
And now a correction to a story we ran last week. Prince Charles is actually the one in the middle. So we...
And so the story with a lot of these jokes is कि he used to fight with the producers to let the jokes in the show. बहुत बार ऐसा होता था कि even back then some jokes were just too much, man. So and this is on TV, ये TV पे कर रहा है वो. It's not doing it on web or anything. And they used to have this thing. नहीं मैं बता रहा हूँ बस कट रही थी where like a lot of the jokes used to try to be cut, but he used to fight with the producers कि नहीं मतलब jokes are jokes. They are not serious. They're supposed to be meant as humor. And he fought to keep these jokes in the show. It's a very well-known fact that there were constant fights between him and Saturday Night Live producers about what goes on Weekend Update. So the writers write it, but he was also one of the writers of Weekend Update. So a lot of these jokes he himself wrote.
We apologize for that.
I don't know why black was black.
Black is great.
Black is great.
Black is fantastic.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I mean,
black is fantastic.
Even though, you know, they're not black anymore. But then again, we're not white. Right?
Right.
We're pink like his fucking asshole. We're all,
Seen it.
We're all the colors of Bobby's asshole deep down. Beautiful. It's beautiful. Roseanne hired me as a stand. You know, I was doing stand-up, and Roseanne said, "Would you like to be on the show and act? You know, you can be Lori's boyfriend." I said, "I can't act." I should have said I could act.
Yeah.
So anyway, she said, "Well, why don't you be a writer?" But one time in the writing room, she would give jobs to crazy guys sometimes, and she gave a job to African American. I don't know what you call them. I call them African Americans.
That's those 2 words that are never heard in the state of Texas, you know. That's a joke, son. I told them.
And we're saying African American, and when you say that, it feels uncomfortable, right? To your tongue.
No. What are you supposed to say?
Well,
no, just tell me what you're supposed to say.
I definitely would not say the A word.
Right.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
The A-A word.
Yeah.
African American. Can you do an African American accent?
Try, yeah.
Okay. We'll give you an African American.
Your mom is so fat she developed type 2 diabetes and congestive heart failure. Snap! Hey, George, my mother is so fat when she came to Vegas they had to build another hotel.
Guy goes, you got the do-rag? He goes, you know, I fucking my woman, you know, and...
Okay, ये वाला ये जो पूरा देखो वो लास्ट टाइम पूरा नहीं दिखाया था मैं.
My wife went into a coma.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And the doctor said to me, you won't hear this from any 1935 comic. He says to me, there's one way to wake her up, but it's a little unconventional. You go in there and you have oral sex with her. I said, by God. He says, I've seen it work. I said, well, I'm willing to try. So I go in there, I'm in there about 5 minutes, and I come out. I said, Doc, she's choking. But that's modern medicine for you.
That's modern medicine. We're going to take a...
ठीक है देखो एक जोक है बट बहुत लंबा है वो बट आई थिंक इट्स वन ऑफ द इट्स अनबिलीवेबल जोक है बहुत इसका लाइक दिस इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी वन ऑफ द बेस्ट जोक्स एवर सेड ऑन टीवी.
I'm sitting with Norm Macdonald, and now not all your material comes from the news. Is that right? You know.
No, some of my material comes. My strongest material comes from real life.
Real life?
Like, for instance, today I was driving in a car. You were kind enough to bring a car to bring this old chunk of coal here to the studio.
We send cars for our guests, yes.
Yeah, so I got in it, and that's, I get material that way. So my driver...
What do you mean? How do you get material that way? You get in the car, and what happens?
My driver tells me a joke.
The driver we sent to pick you up told you a joke.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell it now on the show.
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of my material.
Okay. Why don't we just have him on next time?
That guy. That guy. No, wait till you hear me do it. So the guy, he goes, I say, I'll be the guy.
Okay.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office. Right?
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, what's the problem? And the moth says, what's the problem? Where do I begin, man? He goes, I go to work for Gregory Linovich, and all day long I work. Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Linovich knows. He only knows that he has power over me, and that seems to bring him happiness. But I don't know. I wake up in a malaise, and I walk here and there. And the podiatrist says, oh, yeah? And the moth goes, yes. And he goes, at night, I sometimes wake up, and I turn to some old lady in my bed that's on my arm. A lady that I once loved, Doc. I don't know where to turn to. My youngest, Alexandria. She fell in the cold of last year. The cold took her down, as it did many of us. And my other boy. And this is the hardest pill to swallow, Doc. My other boy, Gregorio Ivanilidovich. I no longer love him. As much as it pains me to say, when I look in his eyes, all I see is the same cowardice that I catch when I take a glimpse of my own face in the mirror. If only the cowardice was stronger, then perhaps I could bring myself to reach over to that cocked and loaded gun that lays on the bedside behind me. And end this hellish facade once and for all.
How long a drive was this? Do you live in the valley? Where do you live? Please, sorry.
He says, Doc, sometimes I feel like a spider, even though I'm a moth, just barely hanging on to my web with an everlasting fire underneath me. I'm not feeling good. And so the doctor says, Moth, man, you're troubled. But you should be seeing a psychiatrist. Why on earth did you come here? And then the moth said, because the light was on.
My congratulations to anyone who stuck it through to the end.
Yeah, epic, yaar.
This is the greatest Jew joke I've ever heard, and I love it. You're not going to get it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
But that's the joke, is that you won't get it.
He's Jewish.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
Okay, then you'll get it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Half Jewish.
No, I'm full.
Full Jewish.
Full Jewish. All right, then.
Have you ever done anything in your long and storied career that you consider specifically to be in bad taste as you look back on it? Maybe at the time you thought it was a good play, but you look back on it and you think that was in bad taste.
Well, sometimes, like in stand-up, I'll do jokes that are like one time I was doing this thing in San Francisco and they were all gay people in the audience. They told me, so I figured I'll
in
do.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
No.
So I figured I'd do stuff about gay people so that they could relate to it.
Yeah, it's warm up. They love that.
And so I was talking about, because I went to this gay pride parade, and I saw in it there were these old men and old ladies like with these signs that said, "We are proud of our gay son," you know? And so I was saying, that's an odd thing to be proud of, you know, because it's not an achievement, you know? It's not like something you work all your life to be gay or anything like that. And I just wondered, I had a hard time believing that these 50, 60-year-old men are actually bragging, you know, at work like they're, hey, Bill, you know, my kid, oh my God, we're proud of him, Johnny. He graduated from Harvard, you know, a first in his class, you know what I mean? Now he's articling over at a law firm, and, oh yeah, he loves cock. You know? This kid. He can't get enough cock in his mouth, his ass, his kid's always cock. I got a picture of the boy here sucking another man's cock. I'm going to show it to you.
To watch the maturation of you as an artist, to realize it took you 9.5 minutes to get around to the sucking cock stuff. It's beautiful to see you comfortable in your own skin, Normie. All right.
We go from there, look, all the way round.
Yeah.
Yes?
7 minutes of audio will play for this
Now,
whole hour.
All the way there. Once you've gone all the way
Between you two
round.
guys. All right, here we go. Yeah.
Conan, pay attention, please.
Yeah,
Watch.
all right, I'm over here. I got my own orange going.
Okay,
all right.
watch. All the way round, so take off the skin.
ठीक है लगाता रुको मैं एक वीडियो है मेरे दिमाग में मेरे को वो लगाना है रुको एक सेकंड
Potential jurors for the O.J. Simpson.
तुम लोग को O.J. Simpson पता है क्या कौन है? O.J. Simpson basically वो बहुत बड़ा, there's a very big scene back in US. He was a football player who basically killed his wife and her the ex-wife and the man she was having an affair with. He definitely killed her most likely. But the jury acquitted him. मतलब jury ने उसको free कर दिया. He wasn't convicted for it. So yeah.
Simpson case. We're asked to fill out a 75-page jury questionnaire this week. In the entire state of California, only one person got a perfect score. Chow Ming Wu, who after the trial plans to attend Caltech. By the way, you can now purchase a bronze statue of the Juice for only $3,395. And for an even $5,000, you can buy one that Al Cowlings has kissed the ass of. O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stalking. The crowd is torn. According to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, "I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses," or treat. And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality in today's secular world and the changing role of the Catholic Church as it approaches the 21st century. The book is entitled, "God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty." In other book news, Prince Charles released an autobiography in which he states that he never loved Princess Di and that his father pressured him to marry her. The book is entitled, "Of Course O.J. Did It. I mean, come on." In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably... You don't get worse luck than that. And O.J. announced this week that he's coming out with a new book called I Want to Tell You. And if it's successful, O.J. will work on yet another book entitled From Football to Prison, My 25 Years of Showering with Other Men. And finally, in honor of the 50th anniversary of their first publication, Random House will be releasing special commemorative issues of many Dr. Seuss classics. The first to hit the bookshelves will be Green Eggs and Ham and O.J. is Guilty. Judge Ito was interviewed this week by a local TV station in Los Angeles. Asked by the interviewer if it was appropriate for a supposedly impartial judge to be on TV with his case still pending, Ito said, "Maybe not, but how appropriate is it to kill your ex-wife?" It was revealed today that O.J. Simpson told police that Nicole Brown Simpson used to beat him up. He also claimed that she and Ron Goldman killed him. O.J. Simpson's lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, "We want to get O.J. acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people."
तुम सब तो ये टीवी पे हो रहा है. He's making these jokes on live TV.
Let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. Well, O.J. Simpson's lawyers stopped feuding this week, finally. The Dream Team, F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro, were able to put aside their differences and express their admiration for each other after O.J. threatened to cut their heads off. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, sleepy truckers are responsible for 1,000 deaths a year. In second place, O.J. Simpson at 2 deaths a year. It was revealed this week that defense lawyer Johnny Cochran once abused his first wife. In his defense, Cochran said, "Hey, at least I didn't kill her like some people I know." Tomorrow, Judge Lance Ito will take O.J. and the jury on a tour of the now famous crime scene. For the jury, it will be their first look at the actual location. Of course, for O.J., it will be just a case of been there, done that. Judge Lance Ito was happy with the jurors' field trip to the crime scene last week. It went off without a hitch, said Ito. Not one murder. O.J.'s pal Al Cowlings now has a 1-900 number. For $2.99 a minute, Cowlings will tell callers that O.J. is innocent. And for $3.99 a minute, he'll try to do it without laughing.
I mean, you know, so a lot of guys don't know this, but one of the reasons he got fired from Saturday Night Live is because he refused to stop doing these jokes. So O.J. Simpson, his friend used to work at NBC, and NBC threatened Norm Macdonald several times. If you don't stop making these O.J. jokes on TV, you will get fired. But he didn't care. मतलब वो ये भाई मतलब he's like a model for all comics. कि पैसे वैसे सब side में joke funny होना चाहिए. He got fired. He never stopped doing the jokes. Oh man. हाँ ठीक है अभी थोड़ा O.J. Simpson से shift करते हैं और ये डालते हैं.
Are you still Canadian, or did you
Yes.
renounce that after 9/11?
What?
9/11. You remember what happened?
You remember 9/11?
Yeah,
Which
it
one?
rings a bell. Yeah, which one?
The one in 1911?
No, the one that where the
plane.
Where they took down the towers?
Yeah, all the stories came crashing down. You know, a lot like when we tried to write on the Norm Show. We couldn't. We tried to write stories, and it all come crashing down.
You know, I'm old enough to remember back to simpler, more innocent times when the worst thing you'd hear about the news was hijacked jetliners flying into buildings.
Oh, now, Gilbert, you're going to get into trouble again. It takes forever, not forever, but it takes years of training to get a pilot's license. But it only takes a couple of minutes to steal a pilot's jacket and hat. And then do some, terrorist act, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I was not living because I was thinking it was going to be a terrorist.
You were worried about a terrorist act.
I was a little nervous.
Did you see Olympus Has Fallen?
No.
This week I learned, just because I masturbated to that picture of a guy falling to his death on 9/11 doesn't mean I have to share it.
कुछ और लगाते हैं.
Hey, for the 9th consecutive year, Nick, JetBlue Airlines ranked first for satisfaction among all North American airlines. But you know what ranked least in satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy. Oh, 9/11. Yeah,
So Norm Macdonald, after he got fired from Saturday Night Live, 1.5 years later, because he had been a lot on TV and movies and all, they called him back to host. So SNL में host करना मतलब बहुत बड़ी बात है. The host changes every week. Every new episode there's a new host, and the host gets to basically like open the show and give like a 8-minute speech at the start or a monologue. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald.
I will see the video.
Let me ask you here, and I saw this, and you were never funnier when you hosted the show here recently. Last couple.
Okay, एक second ना.
Let me ask you here, and I saw this, and you were never funnier.
Okay,
when
video
you
नहीं है
hosted
नहीं
the
इसका,
show here,
audio ही है, सिर्फ तो audio लगा लेता.
Ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. You know, in the, what's that? Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is my name. You know, when the people here asked me to do the show, I gotta say, I felt kind of weird, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to actually be on this show, I used to do the weekend update news routine. You remember that? And, yeah. That's where I did the make-believe news jokes, That was me, right? So then, a year and a half ago, right, I had a sort of a disagreement with the management at at the NBC. I wanted to keep my job, right? And they felt the exact opposite. So you see, they fired me because they said that I wasn't funny, you know? Now with most jobs, I could have had a hell of a lawsuit on my hands for that, but see, this is a comedy show. So they got me, you know what? But now, this is the weird part, right? It's only a year and a half later, and now they asked me to host the show. So I wondered, I go, hey, wait a second here. Hey! I go, how did I go in a year and a half from being not funny enough to be even allowed in the building to being so funny that I'm now hosting the show? How did I suddenly get so damn funny? It was inexplicable to me, because a year and a half, let's face it, is not enough time for a dude to learn how to be funny. Then it occurred to me, I haven't gotten funnier. The show has gotten really bad.
शो पे आके बोल रहे हैं.
So yeah, I'm funny compared to, well, you'll see later. But okay, so let's recap. The bad news is I'm still not funny. The good news is the show blows. All right, folks, we got a bad show for you tonight. Dr. Dre, Snoop Doggy Dogg, and Eminem are here. We'll be right back. Last week on Larry King Live, Marlon Brando made the shocking statement that Hollywood is, quote, run by Jews. In response, outraged Jewish organizations made it snow in New York in April. Well, earlier this week, actor Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live. Among them, that, quote, Hollywood is run by Jews. The Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again. While in England, where he spoke at Oxford University, Simpson had defended actor Marlon Brando's criticism of Hollywood Jews. Later, from his island hideaway, Brando sent O.J. a telegram which read, "You're not helping." In Cincinnati, is Cincinnati Reds owner Marge Schott an anti-Semite? Well, it is beginning to look that way. According to a report out today, on the entire Cincinnati Reds team, there is not one Jewish player. A group of Orthodox rabbis declared that other branches of Judaism are, quote, not Judaism at all, thus challenging the religious status of millions of American Jews. This week, that statement was rejected by Reform leader Rabbi Don Schonstein, who said, quote, our legitimacy as Jews flows from the richness of our Jewish lives, the strength of our Jewish communities, and most important of all, our deep and abiding belief in Jesus Christ. Finally, folks, next week, Jews everywhere will be celebrating the holiday of Yom Kippur, or as non-Jews refer to it, Wednesday.
Did you get the message I left you at home?
Oh, yeah, I got it, but it was weird because you called me Christian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Finally, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a man allowed his 8-year-old daughter to take the wheel of his car, and an accident ensued that damaged 7 other cars and injured 6 people, which once again proves my theory: women can't drive. Safe safer drivers, men or women? Well, according to a new survey, 55% of adults feel that women are most responsible for minor fender benders, while 78% blame men for most fatal crashes. Please note that the percentages in these pie graphs do not add up to 100% because the math was done by a woman.
भाई ये कैंसिलेबल है यार, ये जोक्स पे हंसना बहुत, मतलब आई डोंट, दे आर जस्ट जोक्स, बट ये जोक्स पे हंसना बहुत सीन है भाई, ये जोक्स पे हंसना।
For those of you hissing at that joke, it should be noted that that joke was written by a woman. So now you don't know what the hell to do. No, I'm just kidding. We don't hire women. A celebrated fertility statue, which many believe has the power to make women pregnant, began a nationwide tour this week. The hundreds of women who claim it caused their pregnancies are of different ages, races, and religions. But they all have one thing in common. They are all dirty, dirty whores. A new book claims that Madonna once smeared peanut butter all over John F. Kennedy Jr.'s body and then licked it off, which just goes to show you Madonna's a whore. In other show business news, it has been reported that superstar Madonna is pregnant. Although personally I find this a bit hard to believe. I mean, Madonna isn't even married. It's like crazy. And finally, Weekend Update would like to congratulate Madonna, who gave birth to a beautiful baby girl last Monday. The baby weighed in at 6 pounds 9 ounces, making it the 4th largest object ever to pass through Madonna's birth canal. I like that Madonna's baby thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I really have to give it to that guy that's the father, you know, Carlos...
Leon.
Carlos Leon.
Or Carlos Leon, I forget which one.
Because you got to have a lot of guts. That means he had sex with Madonna without a condom. Right? That's great. Pop singer Madonna was outraged this week when a tabloid photographer snapped her picture while she was breastfeeding her new baby. Apparently, the baby was blocking her nipple. Well, filming has finally begun in the long-awaited life story of Evita Peron, starring pop singer Madonna. According to its producers, the film is 100% historically accurate, except for the part where Mrs. Peron has group sex with the Houston Rockets. Texas millionaire J. Howard Marshall may have died 2 months ago, but as we see here, he and wife Anna Nicole Smith can still enjoy a romantic evening at home. Former Playboy centerfold and Guess Jeans model Anna Nicole Smith collapsed this week after she suddenly realized that she actually had sex with this guy. And finally, in entertainment news, ex-Playboy centerfold Anna Nicole Smith has filed for bankruptcy. And saddest of all, she slept with this guy for nothing. Well, the Learning Annex in New York is offering a new course to teach women how to smoke cigars. The fee to enroll in the class is $100. The fee to watch the class is $200. According to a new study from Yale University, in order to duplicate the physique of a Barbie doll, the average woman would have to grow to 7 feet, add 5 inches to her bust, and trim 6 inches from her waist. So, ladies, you have your mission. Now get to it. Hollywood prostitute Divine Brown has written a book describing in lurid detail exactly what she did with Hugh Grant. The book sells for $25, but for $35, she'll show you. Former British cavalry officer James Hewitt, who was Lady Diana's secret lover, says he will never, ever disclose the contents of more than 100 love letters that she sent to him. This, according to Hewitt's new book, I Banged a Princess. Under a new ordinance, exotic, nude, and topless dancing will be banned in any establishment selling alcoholic beverages in the city of New Iberia, Louisiana, or as I now refer to it, the most horrible place on earth. Exotic dancers say a city ordinance requiring them to keep 4 feet away from their customers will put them out of business in Shoreline, Washington, or as I now refer to it, Nazi Germany. In sports, distance runner Jutta Pippig set a record by winning her 3rd consecutive Boston Marathon, despite suffering from both her period and diarrhea throughout the 26-mile run. In addition, Pippig also set a record for causing the most spectators to make this face.
भाई स्ट्रीम एंड कर दे. Yes. भाई नॉम मैकडोनल्ड जोक्स डाल दो YouTube पे. You can find all of these. Man, he's too good यार. Oh भाई नॉम मैक यार क्या लेजेंड था यार नॉर्म मैकडोनल्ड. तूने इंटरव्यूज देखने हैं?
A Boston Marathon. Well, Jocelyn Elder's new book, Jocelyn Elder's MD, came out this week. I read it. After closing out a successful first season, the WNBA is considering several changes to improve the level of play in the league next year. Among the proposals, extending the playoffs, increasing salaries, bringing back the three-point line, and replacing all the female players with guys. The WNBA officials expanded to 10 teams this week, adding franchises in Detroit and Washington, D.C. But before you get too excited about the new additions to the league, remember, all of the players are still women. They stink at basketball, that's the problem. Other than that, it'd be a good, good game, but
The next time I watch a WNBA game will be the first time I watch a WNBA game. Hey, WNBA, I got an idea that'll sell some tickets, shirts and skins.
It was a bad week for the restaurant chain Hooters. The company has been forced to pay $3.75 million to settle a sex discrimination suit brought by male job applicants who claim that its policy of hiring only women is unfair. The settlement was hailed as a landmark case for guys who try to ruin everything.
When I was young, there was a fella went by the name of Jacques de Gautier. And he was from Témiscamingue, Quebec. And Jacques de Gautier, he was a fella that really thought. And he was smart, he was our hope, I guess. And he was, while I was scrabbling to get out of high school, Jacques Zagatino had already...
I think you just changed his last name.
Well, a man grows.
एक सेकेंड लिंक भेजना है किसी को, तो मैं OBS में WhatsApp लीक नहीं करना है, इसलिए स्क्रीन चेंज कर रहा हूँ. एक सेकेंड. वाह वाह. अब तो I don't think आएगा साहिल, but तो भी
But this is the point.
Yeah.
Dr. Gastineau, he went to McGill University and he got 3 degrees, by golly. And he went over across the pond to the fellas with Cambridge and he even stood up to them. And we thought, boy, he's going to be the next.
Hello. Yo. कौन सा वेगस वाला कौन सा? हाँ वो लगाता हूँ, वो वाला लगाता हूँ. मैं लगाओ वो वाला जो लगाओ. नेक्स्ट. भाई सुन, बाय द वे सुन मैं स्ट्रीम पे हूँ बट तेरा आवाज नहीं आ रहा है. हेलो. अबे मैं पूछता हूँ ना डालने से पहले, डालू क्या अभी देखो स्ट्रीम की आवाज पे? बस जूम लिंक के ऑडियो पे आ जा जूम लेके. हेलो. ओके, एक सेकेंड. भाई साहब बहुत साहिल नहीं था, समय था. ओह फक, बहुत. अरे मेरा फेवरेट नॉर्म का जोक तो डाला ही नहीं है मैंने. यो हेलो. एक सेकंड, मैं OBS सेट कर रहा हूँ. यो
रुक जाना, मैं उससे आ रहा हूँ, किसी से आ रहा हूँ. कैसा है तू?
मतलब सही हूँ, मतलब नॉर्म के बिट्स देख रहा हूँ. थोड़ा बीटी में हो कि अभी लाइव देखने नहीं मिलेंगे वापस. लाइव मतलब इन द सेंस नया नहीं देखने मिलेगा कुछ.
I did not know that you are such a Norm Macdonald fan, bro.
भाई तेरे को मैं दिखाया हूँ मार्गरेट टाइचर वाला क्लिप, वो सब तो दिखाया मैंने तेरे को. आई हैव बीन वाचिंग क्लिप्स अ लॉट. इट्स जस्ट दैट मैं स्टैंड अप उसका आई वॉच हिज नेटफ्लिक्स स्पेशल ऑफ कोर्स, बट रिलेटिव टू लाइक पीपल लाइक उपमन्यु एंड आई गेस इवन यू, इतना आई एम नॉट दैट मच. बट आई जस्ट ऑलवेज लाइक्ड हिज लाइक द स्टाइल ऑफ हिज जोक्स है कि वही है ना बेसिकली कि इट्स नेवर अ फर्स्ट थॉट.
Yeah. And even if it's a first thought, it's his delivery, man. They say, I read somewhere, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I did not know what it meant until I found out it means that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas means that if you have sex with a prostitute in Vegas, she won't tell your wife. They're not like these old town gossipy hoes.
अरे वही है रे. इट्स एंड वो moth bit is actually the reason. I think that one joke explains perfectly why Norm is the best.
There's a video, I think it's by Nerd.
Okay.
Who breaks down Norm Macdonald for the audience, everyone. मतलब एक से Norm Macdonald Nerd का है कि किसका? Nerd writer ने बहुत प्यारा 8 मिनट का वीडियो निकाला है उस पे.
तो उसमें basically he just explains why.
He explains the subtle genius of Norm and at what level he functions and what he's doing.
Nerd writer.
What's your favorite Norm joke?
मेरा तो मतलब I have two. One is the one he did on मतलब a lot of the SNL stuff. But if you're talking like a pure setup and punchline joke, then the coma one.
यार fuck यार, मैं और एक्सट्रीम कर रहा हूँ यार, इसलिए मेरे को आज ज़्यादा इस पे बात नहीं करनी है.
But तू मतलब तू तो बात ही करेगा ना. You can't either. There's no way you're going to stream some of the jokes, right? Are you going to react to them?
मतलब थोड़ा ऑडियो में तो सुन सकता है अगर करना हो.
कॉपीराइट का सीन नहीं है. It's more of content scene. Copyright strike नहीं आता है.
क्या आता है फिर?
मतलब तू कुछ मतलब एक जो मतलब भाई तू स्ट्रीम थोड़ा बैक कर ले, कुछ जोक सुन ले जरा, क्या क्या मतलब।
अबे तो मेरे को पता है ना फिर वो वाले तू साले तूने वो सब भी सुना होगा, गोल्ड प्लेटेड चेन्स वुड बी अ वेरी नाइस रिटायरमेंट गिफ्ट। वो वाला भी तू सुनेगा स्ट्रीम पे तो कैसे होगा?
वो सुना है अब भाई, वो है एक मतलब बहुत सारे रे मतलब।
वो सुना तूने, इज अ रियल जर्क।
नहीं वो नहीं लगाया अभी तक मैंने।
वो भी ऐसे वो मत सुनो तू।
नहीं अभी नहीं सुनूंगा मैं, बट हाँ भाई।
One of my favorite norm jokes is ID is a very strange abbreviation because in ID, I stands for I, and then D stands for dentification. I think D is doing all the legwork there.
वो है उसका भाई, एक और है उसका, एक वन लाइनर है जो मैं I can't like it's that hypocrites one. You know what I'm talking about?
They said the worst part about Bill Cosby was that he was a hypocrite. I don't think that was the worst part. I think all rapists are hypocrites.
वो वाला
hypocrisy would be somewhere on the 4th page. First would be the scheming, then the drugging.
and the thing is ki because he's mocking the criminals, right? He's not making fun of victims. It's so, I mean, people, it's so good na ki wo you know what I mean, like even the O.J. Simpson jokes, like a lot of them would quote on quote be considered offensive, but he's making fun of O.J. Simpson who killed his wife. तो वो उसने बैलेंस बहुत सही किया रे नॉम ने।
वो देखा तूने उसका इसी में like he hosts this award show that someone gets an award, so he goes that congratulations, you have won this award, no one can take this away from you unless you kill your wife and the waiter, of course.
ESPN वाला ना, ESPN स्पोर्ट्स वाला, वो नहीं प्ले किया, वो करना, वो सब भी कर सकता हूँ अभी।
अबे माँ चुदारे रे नगन।
क्या समय ढूंढता है एक्सेंट, अबे
माँ चुदाले रे भाई साहब, क्या मतलब पूरा 2 साल भाई 3 साल सिर्फ नॉम ही सुना।
Exactly, और मुझे पता है ना, तूने actually a lot of Norm's good bits समय has shown me, like the stand-up bits तो he has shown me। मैं कोनन के interviews and the Saturday Night Live stuff, वो सब मैं ज्यादा देखा था नॉम का, और तूने मेरे को उसके 3-4 बहुत से बिट्स दिखाए थे।
तो तूने वो देखा है उसका SNL के
वीकेंड अपडेट पूरा देखा है मैंने।
उस पे डिस करता है ना योको ओनो पे।
हाँ वो भी देखा है मैंने।
देखा तूने? चैट को दिखाया वो वाला
it was coming, so there's like a 25-minute of montage of him just making those line of jokes, so it would have definitely come at some point there, but there was one joke that was so like cancelable that I just saw that and just stopped watching।
कौन सा सेटअप क्या था?
अबे 2-3 थे। एक था बेसिकली कि मैं सेटअप भी ऑफेंसिव है, मेरे को सेटअप भी बोलने का नहीं है मेरे मुंह से ऑनेस्टली। स्ट्रीम मैं एक पॉइंट है जिसमें मैं स्ट्रीम मैं तो टाइम स्टैम्प भेज दूंगा, बट
योको ओनो का वो वाला भी, योको ओनो का मेरे को वो जोक उसका काफी अच्छा लगता है कि you know Yoko Ono, she recently performed for for Japan's survivors of nuclear war. She performed for Japan's survivors of nuclear war, and one of the survivors after the show said, "This was the most horrible thing I've ever seen."
भाई जिमी कार नहीं भाई, I don't think जिमी कार is close.
Nah bro, no, doesn't even come close. Like जिमी कार का हाँ ठीक है भाई, सेटअप पंच लाइन वो शॉक हो गया भाई, क्रेजी हो गया, लेकिन नॉम का स्टाइल एंड डिलीवरी ब्रो
भाई, even that one they say orange is the new black but not in my apartment. In my apartment Kevin is the new black। वो वाला भाई लेजेंड यार, 2-3 बहुत क्रेजी है उसके। Oh man, no, 2-3 में बहुत, the variety of them man।
Bro, his talk show appearances, his Dirty Johnny joke, his Germany joke, like everything man।
Delivery makes a lot of difference, of course। मतलब हम लोग admire कर रहे हैं, we're not trying to।
हाँ हम तो fan boy कर रहे हैं bro उस पे, मतलब हम तो fans हैं उसके सब। हम तो मैं तो उपमन्यु के साथ रोया कल भाई, हम लोग रो रहे थे कल। अरे साहिल का ले व्हाट्सअप, आजा क्या? हाँ 7, अरे मीटिंग है ना 6 मिनट। अरे मैं वेक के साथ थोड़ा टाइम पास कर रहा था
भाई। जैसे ये आया ना मुझे, मतलब I was on Facebook and like 1 minute ago the news updated, so the second it updated I just ran, समय का कॉल नहीं लग रहा था तो I called Sahil and then I dropped some message कि भाई ये हो गया। मतलब जितने भी मेरे, and why it hurts is because he was like, you knew he had more stuff in him, you know what I mean? It wasn't like he's a 75-year-old retired musician who's now going to put out more songs. He was still doing stuff, he was still making appearances, so for me तो that's why it felt bad।
यार उसको एक बार लाइव देखना था यार,
वो तो टफ हो जाता था अभी। तेरा टॉप 5 मतलब ये सब नहीं पूछना, इंटरव्यू नहीं करना, दिस इज नॉर्म यार।
हाँ ब्रो, टुडे इज ऑल अबाउट नॉर्म यार।
व्हाट इज योर ओके, बट दिस आई कैन आस्क, व्हाट आर योर फेवरेट बिट्स नॉर्म के?
वो तो आज मैं डिस्कस करने आ रहा था उसके ऊपर। एक मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है उसका पंपकिन जोक, बहुत सही है।
कौन सा है उसका पंपकिन जोक?
कहता है कि I met this guy and he had a pumpkin instead of his head. And I said, how come you have a pumpkin instead of your head, man? The guy told me that, man, I found a genie. He gave me 3 wishes. For the first wish, Norm, I said I wanted to be the richest man in the world. And there, he gave me all the money there could be, and I became the richest man in the world. I was like, yeah, that's great, but how do you have a pumpkin on your head? No, Norm, the second wish, wait until you hear it. Second wish, I told him, I want to marry the hottest girl in the world. And boom, there she was, right in front of me. I married her, had kids also. Like, yeah, but how do you have a pumpkin for your head? Man, Norm, the third wish. I really fucked up the third wish, Norm. I said for the third wish, I want a pumpkin for my head.
But it's funny. It's funnier when he delivers it. When he delivers it,
Of course, bro.
expecting punchline aa raha hai. That's for the moth joke, man. That moth joke, na, unbelievable. वो मतलब मुझे पता है that's his most popular joke, so it's easy to say that. But
It's like a stairway to heaven.
Yeah, it's that. उसका एक और तूने डॉल्फिन वाला सुना है?
हाँ, डॉल्फिन वाला. वो उसको देखता है फिर लास्ट में.
With youthful purpose. वो कैंसर वाला भी बिट अच्छा है उसका. Now it seems even more relevant.
बाल कैंसर.
That one, right? If you die, the cancer dies as well.
हाँ, उसी में है वो.
Oh man. Oh, ऐसे कोई नहीं यार अभी. I mean, I mean, of course, Chappelle, Chris Rock, there are great comics still alive, but none of them are, I think, as funny as Norm Macdonald off the cuff. Writing wise.
वैसा रहता ना comedy subjective and all, but वो सब सही है, पर it's just he's so different. It's like अभी श्रीजा है देख.
Yeah.
जब श्रीजा को स्टैंड पर देखते बहुत अलग ऐसे अरे वाह so different वो वाला सीन है कि भाई डिफरेंट वॉइस सुन के ना हमेशा मज़ा आता है. और वो वाला कितना देख लिया, अरे वही सेटअप पंच लाइन, वही एक बंदा माइक लेके गुस्से में बोल रहा है, अपना ओपिनियन दे रहा है, ठीक है भाई. लेकिन ऐसा बीटल्स टाइप ऐसे प्यारे से जोक्स लिखना, कंस्ट्रक्ट करना, दैट इनोसेंस, दैट डिलीवरी, दैट स्टाइल, दैट दोज पॉजेस, दोज लॉन्ग एनेक्डोट्स, ही वाज जस्ट सो डिफरेंट. दैट्स व्हाई वी ऑल लव हिम.
हाँ मैन, ठीक है चल भाई, तेरा तो स्ट्रीम है. Everyone here knows that. 9:30 वाला.
अभी मेरा 7:30 को कॉल भी है.
Done. ठीक है चल.
हाँ, तूने उसका वो सुना है कैट स्टोरी? मोहम्मद हादी हुसैन ने कहा तो मुझे याद है कैट स्टोरी.
मैंने सुना है वो वाला, but yeah, that's safe now on stream. I mean, I have anyways crossed that threshold a long time ago.
Long when you were fucking around with Jinx, that time when you fucked it up.
No, I mean that is. अबे तू देख रहे, तू मतलब तू सोच. I have not really censored anything. मैं सब play किया है. I have played all the clips. Like you know what I'm talking about, right?
That's cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, stream private होगा.
वो वाला भी चलाया गया तूने कि there was this guy who broke so many bricks with his head and now he officially has the
gold book. अरे वो तो बहुत चला है वैसे वाले तो.
Oh भाई.
हाँ वो तो of course डाला वो. But I mean, I was thinking first कि like if I'm going to do a reaction stream, ठीक है, discussion different. I'm going to do a reaction stream to his jokes, and then I decide to censor stuff, you know what I mean, as opposed to what he did on SNL, where he got fired from the show but refused to censor his jokes. Then वो भी hypocrisy हो गया ना. Then why play it if Norm Macdonald के jokes को, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like fuck it, let's play a react.
Norm Macdonald भी cancel हो गया था ना almost.
अरे हाँ, but वही बोला ना, if you don't care, how can you get cancelled? The best time was.
But he cared, na. Then he was apologizing, and it was a very sad scene. Like
no, but like even so, if you look at that one when he did a few of these interviews where he said like Amy Schumer was one of the funniest people he's met. Have you seen that?
Which one?
है 3-4 है उसके ऐसे. He done view 3-4 किए थे उसने, and he's just went and said, and he's clearly being sarcastic, but the host thinks it's very funny to watch.
Oh yeah, that way he has done that also. ऐसे चने खा के बोल रहा था.
हाँ,
I'm sorry, I barely have consensual sex. I'm an old man.
बहुत हाँ, so he is done. So even there he was being funny. I know what you mean कि वो तो थोड़ा अबे वो तो सबको ही होता है रे. But he was too good, man.
एक last joke उसका मैं बोल गया था.
बोलना.
They say if you're afraid of homosexuals, it means you're a homosexual deep inside. Which really worries me because I'm afraid of dogs. चल भाई मैं आता हूँ, मेरा कॉल है भाई.
Done है रे. Bye.
R.I.P Norm Macdonald यार.
R.I.P Norm Macdonald. एक लास्ट बिट प्ले कर याद है? कौन सा करना है? नॉर्म का एक लास्ट बिट प्ले करते हैं. बहुत ही कुछ मेलो प्ले करके आना है. मैं जरा चेक कर लेता हूँ गूगल पे नॉम का क्या सोच सकता हूँ मैं. छाला. Yeah, let's just play this one.
Reason I don't.
I think this is the best one to play. Play the thing.
Reason I don't like it is because in the old days they go, hey, that old man died. Now they go, hey, he lost his battle. That's no way to end your life, you know. What a loser that guy was. Last thing he did was lose. He was waging a brave battle, but at the end, I guess he got kind of cowardly was what happened. And then the bowel cancer, it got brave. You got to give it to the bowel cancer. You know, they were in a battle, and then what the And I'm pretty sure, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure if the cancer dies, I mean, if you die, the cancer also dies at exactly the same time. So that, to me, is not a loss, that's a draw. That's a, you know what I mean? It's not like the cancer's going to jump up and go, Uncle Bert's wife. Where is he? I won fair and square. This where he works? Hi, name's Cancer. How are you? Where do I... You just throw me to my cubicle. Bowel. First name is Bowel.
Oh man. I think
I have to host a joke contest, you know, where I bring people from the audience.
I did this just so that you guys, like a lot of people who maybe watch my streams and have not watched Norm, and then of course तुम लोग भी समय का stream देखोगे, and if you not watch Norm, so we just to show कि कितना crazy एक level of humor है रे. Fake laugh तो बिल्कुल not made. None of these laughs are fake. I find that the thing is like these jokes are way more offensive than. Like if you look at the meme mandir stuff and all that, they're not nearly as offensive as some of these jokes, but they're not as funny also. Like ये बंदा इतना funny है ना था, but yeah, I think there are a lot of other names I can think of, but just go check out some of Norm's stuff. He was so good, and he had so much material also now across his own podcast, across his other appearances, his stand-up comedy. Netflix पे Norm का special है. Netflix पर Norm का special है, watch that. That's a great special and it has a lot of his good bits. But are you going to stream more or should I close the screen recorder? अभी मतलब मैं पता नहीं. Yeah, I'll keep this public for a while. If I get some shit for it, I'll probably unlist or private. And then अगर मेरे को कोई clips दिखे इसके YouTube पे तो फिर क्या मतलब क्या है मतलब? I don't know. I don't give strikes or anything. But फिर भी मतलब देख लो. Twitch तो मैं कभी नहीं खोलूँगा. I have no interest in opening a Twitch channel. मेरे से barely YouTube maintain होता है, तो Twitch तो I won't open. But yeah, I didn't want to. As you've seen, I have not censored any of the content. मैंने ऐसे कोई joke नहीं है कि मैंने पूरा आधा half में बंद कर दिया. Everything is played because it would be a shame to do that for Norm Macdonald jokes. So yeah, guys, go watch some of his streams and. Claim आएगा कोनन से तो ठीक है ना, तो फिर claim आएगा तो फिर I don't want the money from this anyways. That's fine. Demonetize हो गया तो problem नहीं है. Strike नहीं चाहिए सिर्फ. But yeah, anyways, go watch Summer Stream at 9:30. Because I think everyone there are bigger fans than me also. I loved his stuff, but I'm not a stand-up comic, so I can't appreciate the same way these guys can. But yeah. Not Writer का वीडियो देखो on Norm It's वो भी देख लेना. I'll watch it for sure. Lord the Lord to you, thanks man. But yeah. It's not. I'm not like मैं बहुत ज़्यादा sad नहीं हूँ because I didn't know the guy personally, so इतना difference नहीं बनता. But as a fan, you know, as someone who wanted to watch more stuff from him, it's sad. Offensiveness of the joke doesn't make it funnier, but the fact is कि offensive jokes इतने on TV बनते नहीं है, so you don't get to access it. And for me, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe he said that is also part of the joke. It's not the entire joke, so just being offensive doesn't mean it's funny. But yeah. Professor Logic वाला वो I think if I'm not sure, I think maybe someone will play that. क्या पता. बलराज गया, अरे भाई क्या बढ़िया बैकड्रॉप लगाया. Love you. अरे बलराज सब सेटअप टूर तो नहीं अभी स्ट्रीम एंड करने का टाइम आ गया. Anyways guys, go check out Samay's stream and